Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to clean the carburetor on an Arctic Cat kitty cat snowmobile. And here's the machine. It's a cute little snow machine actually. I wish I would have had one of these when I was a kid. This is an older machine. I'm not sure of the year, but it does have a 2-cycle engine made by Arctic Cat. The new kitty cats have a 4-cycle engine. So the guy brought it in, said it's not running properly. He asked me to clean the carburetor, so that's the first thing I'm going to do with it. And the carburetor is located right over here. As you can see, it's a 2-cycle engine made by Arctic Cat. And this one's actually made in Japan. First thing I need is a 10mm wrench. I'm going to remove the 2 nuts that hold the carburetor onto the engine. There's one here and there's one over there. It's a bit tight working in there, so just take your time. Make sure you don't lose the nuts at the bottom. Now this fuel line is hard as a rock, so I'm going to snip it because I'll be replacing it. Now I'm going to back up the carb to get it off the studs here. Now you want to make sure you remember exactly where the linkage goes though before you take the carb completely out. Now I'm going to disconnect the linkage right at the carburetor over here. So now I'm going to grab the carb and just simply twist it this way and then pull the linkage out, and it's going to come right out. And there's also a small spring that you can see there by my thumb. That all came out of the same hole. Now I'm just going to grab the carb and squeeze it through. There's not much room, by the way. The air box is still attached to it. And now it's all out. And here's a close view of the carburetor. There's no actual filter in the air box, it's just empty. And it's a Mikuni carburetor made in Japan. Now the first thing I'm going to do is remove the bowl nut with a 13mm wrench. Now I'm just going to pop the bowl off. It's on there pretty tight. And there's a bit of dirt in there, not that much. It does smell of old varnicized gas though. There's a jet here, there's one inside here. So now I'm going to pull out the float pin. Take the float out, there's the needle. And that's a good sign, the needle is not jammed in there. Sometimes the needles are jammed in there when stuff's been neglected like this. I am going to remove the O-ring here because I don't want to damage it with carburetor cleaner. If you do have an ultrasonic cleaner, it's the best way to go. And now I'm going to remove this jet. And this one here has an extra little washer attached to it. Now I'm going to remove the jet over here. Always make sure to use good screwdrivers when you take out jets from a carburetor. Bad screwdrivers can often damage the jet. And here's that jet. The holes don't seem to be plugged, but the outside of it is dirty. So at this point here, I'm just going to spray carb cleaner and let it sit for a while. I'm probably going to let it sit for a day because I'm pretty well done my work day today. And I've sprayed the bowl here, and the jets that I took out are inside over here. You can also soak it in a can of carburetor cleaner as well. Okay, my carb has been sitting with the carb cleaner for quite a while. Some of it has evaporated and leaked out. I'm just going to spray a little bit more. I'm just going to grab a toothbrush to superficially clean it. It's not that bad, so I'm not going to use a wire brush. If you do use a wire brush, make sure it's really fine so that it does not scratch your carburetor. I'm also going to clean the float with a bit of carb cleaner, just to get the algae off of it. You can see quite a bit of dirt coming out. And most of the dirt has come out of the bowl here. And to clean the small jets, I'm just going to use a torch tip cleaner. I want to make sure you can see daylight through them. The other large jet, I realized that the small jet here is screwed into the big one. So I put it in the vise like this just to get it off. So this one's fairly clean. You can use the torch tip cleaner as well in the holes and make sure they're all clean, and also in the center over here. So I ran the other jet on a fine wire brush very fine. And I'm going to stick the other jet into that one. Now I'm satisfied that this carburetor is clean enough, so I'm just going to go ahead and reassemble it. Usually the carburetors are much more dirty, so you do have to do a lot more work to get them clean. This was actually an easy clean today. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this back in. Just be careful not to over tighten this jet in there, just use common sense. Now I'm going to put the side jet, make sure that the little brass spacer is in there as well. I'm going to put the needle valve back in. Now I'm going to install the float. Just simply line up the holes like this and insert the pin in. Just like this. Now I need to take off the old fuel line here. Now I'm just going to put in the O-ring back in there. And now I'll put the carburetor bowl back on. Then don't forget the bowl nut gasket. Now I'm not sure of the torque specs for this bowl nut, but just use common sense again. Put it fairly tight, but don't overdo it. And that's good. And I forgot to take off this jet, so I'm just going to double check it. So on this jet here, you'd want to make sure that these holes are unplugged. And there's also a tiny center hole over here. Sometimes all you need is one wire from a very small wire brush like this, and just run the wire in the center. This is such a tiny hole that it's hard to get any wire to fit through there to make sure that it's clean. Now you can also air blow your carburetor as well with your compressed air. If you do that, make sure to wear safety glasses. And now the carburetor is ready to be reinstalled on the snow machine. Okay, so I've got the carburetor ready to be reinstalled. I'm just going to put a thin film of this Permatex Ultra Black RTV silicone on the intake gasket. So it's just going to be a very thin film like this. Now I'm going to insert it back through here, and as you can see, I've installed a new line and filter on the carb. Now what I want to do is put in the linkage, and here it is. As you can see, it's kind of like a little loop, so it's got to go through this hole over here. I've got the carb on an angle here to make it easier, just like this, and then just hook in the spring in the same hole, just like this. And now you want to line up the carb to get it back on the studs over here. And before putting the nuts back on, you want to put the washer. It's a bit tricky. You don't want to drop the washer and the nut under there. This is the harder side because there's parts of the carburetor that are in the way. This side's much easier because there's nothing in the back. And now you want to tighten them up fairly tight. It's going to be a bit tedious because it is hard to get at them. And I'm going to reconnect the fuel line to the fuel tank. Okay, so I've got the fuel line hooked up. I've got a brand new filter. And everything seems okay down here on the carb. You may want to try the throttle trigger here to make sure that everything's working. Alright, I've got it on the ground here, and I've got my garage doors open for ventilation. I've gassed it up, and now it's time to give it a quick start to see if it runs or not. And the choke's over here on this one. So as you can see, it does run pretty good. It's a bit small for me. I might try to get somebody's kid to try it out for me. The snow is very soft today. It's sticky and the machine's having a hard time. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe and you'll see me next time. Have a nice day.